Hello, my name is Dushana Gill, and today I will be presenting a career profile on my client. The purpose of this time is to share how I would orient my client on how her interests correlate to potential careers. In this presentation, I will share demographic information about my client, a brief career timeline, the results of two assessments that she completed, and relevant information I believe would aid her in career planning. This includes potential interests in jobs, which include education information, salary, job outlook, as well as financial consideration and technology that supports career planning. So first is the demographics of my client. I included this slide because I felt it was really important for counselors to consider the subjective context of the client as you engage in career counseling. And for my client, I think it's great for her to see a picture of the context of her life, as well as the upcoming decisions that she is wanting to make. So my client is African American. She is a cisgender female that is 27 years old, single with no children. Her educational background is in having a BA in child advocacy. Her current occupation is as a patient care coordinator, and her current satisfaction at this point is content, but in search for more meaningful work. And her priorities when it comes to work is financial stability and security. I thought these last 2 points were very important to point out because although she's in a job right now that doesn't make her miserable, she's pretty happy with it, she doesn't feel like this job fulfills her purpose or is meaningful work, which is important to her. However, her priorities is financial stability. Although she is single with no children, and from just, looking at this demographic information, it may seem that she can just kind of take some risks and try out new things. However, because of her responsibilities and need for consistent income, it kind of puts some barriers in what she can pursue and how she pursues them. Next is a brief career timeline. One's career is established through the course of a lifetime, and my client has had various experiences and opportunities throughout her lifetime. In 2010, her very first job was as an actress and performer. She actually went to a performing arts high school, actually the high school that the late Cicely Tyson created in Newark, New Jersey. And she got paid to perform every day in a play. So that was her very first job that she loved. Her second job was as a waitress at an ethnic restaurant locally. Next, in 2016, she was a youth worker at her school at Montclair State University. She worked at the Ben Samuels Children's Center, which is associated with the school. And in 2018, she had two different jobs. So the first one was as a cashier at a local bakery, and this was simply to just make ends meet and to get some extra cash flow. And as well, in that year, she was working at Massage Envy as a front desk receptionist, and then she kind of climbed the ladder and became the assistant manager for the store. And in 2020, she became a patient care coordinator at a local physical therapy center. So she's looking forward to what will be next for her, although she's content and getting enough money and is okay right now. So as far as assessments, my client actually took two assessments. The first one was the Strong's Interest Inventory results, as well as the Kuder Career Interest results. So to start off with the Kuder Careers Interest Assessment, the purpose is to help individuals match their interests to their potential careers. So Kuder Careers Interest is based on Holland's theory of types, which includes 6 personality and work environment types. So my client's Holland code resulted as artistic, social, and conventional, and artistic and social being tied as the highest and conventional as the third highest. And as far as the Strong Interest Inventory, the purpose is to tool for clients to achieve satisfaction in their work and identify career options consistent with their interests. So this scales basic interests, occupational interests, and personal style. And the results of this assessment were actually very similar. Her theme code was artistic, social, and investigative. So my interpretation that I've concluded from this client's assessment, which would be what I would share with her, is that she may find satisfaction in work that involves not only the arts, but connecting with people. So these are the things I considered as I collected data that I would want to share with her. So next, I will be sharing some potential occupations that may be worth exploring and digging into and learning more about. The first occupation is as an elementary school teacher, except special education. And this includes the social, artistic, and conventional Holland Code. The role of an elementary school teacher is to establish rules for behavior and procedures to maintain order with the students. Teachers are meant to adapt teaching methods to the needs of the students in their classroom. They work with students individually, but also in groups. And also there's a big connection piece where the teacher is not only working with the students, but they're working with the parents and guardians, other teachers, counselors, and administrators to resolve any issues such as behavioral or academic challenges. And it also prepares students for later grades and later levels of education. So this particular occupation involves skills such as instruction, speaking, active listening, and critical thinking. And these are all strengths of my client. So the median wage right now in the state of New Jersey is about $71,000 a year. And the projected growth rate is about 3 to 4%. So this is a great outlook for her. So there is one piece that is very important, is the educational piece. This particular occupation requires a teacher preparation program or a master's degree. It also includes student teaching and applying for the praxis and passing that. So that's a big consideration my client would have to make. Is she willing to go back to school? Is she willing to put in a little bit more work for the occupation that she's wanting to go for? The next occupation, ironically enough, is as a musician and singer. So this includes the artistic, enterprising, and social code. So for this particular client, she was heavily involved with the arts in high school. Like I mentioned, her first job ever was as an actress and a performer, and this is what she truly loves. However, based on her values as a Christian and some other factors, she just does not believe that acting is a potential job for her because of the impractical part of, having a consistent income, which is a priority for her, but then also just the dynamic of the work she doesn't really care for. And in that, she has completely thrown away the arts as an option for her work. So I thought it was interesting that the assessment came up with musician and singer for her. And she's actually a phenomenal singer. She's a great singer. And these roles of, performing before live audiences and concerts, recitals, and other social gatherings and singing a cappella, she has a lot of experience in. As far as applying knowledge of harmonies, melody, rhythm, and voice production, this is something that she's learned at the high school that she went to for performing arts. So she has the background knowledge for that. It also involves performing and working directly with the public. And then there's this relational piece that is very important to my client, which is establishing and maintaining interpersonal relationships. So as far as the pay for this, it varies, but right now in New Jersey, the estimate is about $36.66 per hour for median wage. And the projected growth here is actually slower than average, which is 1 to 2%. Another factor that I thought was important for my client to know as, we're talking about the arts is that the job openings in New Jersey specifically right now is about 19,000, which is pretty low. So as she considers this occupation, she does need to consider whether this is a plausible option for her when she thinks about the context of her life and the source of income that she needs monthly. The good thing about this one is you just need vocational training or on-the-job training, which she has a lot of experience with, as well as contacts of people she can network with if she wanted to open up this realm in her life. The next occupation is as a speech language pathologist. So this correlates more with the strong interest inventory, and the code for that is social, investigative, and artistic. So some facts about a speech language pathologist is that they monitor patient progress and adjust treatment. They develop treatment plans for stuttering, delayed language, swallowing disorders, inappropriate pitch, and things of that nature. And they also have, proper documentation for their client and billing records. Right now, a speech language pathologist makes about $93,000 annually in the state of New Jersey, and the projected growth is actually much faster than average. It's at about 8% right now. So there's a great job outlook for this. However, this also requires more schooling, which I know my client is a little bit wary of. Educational considerations include a master's degree in speech language pathology, a completion of a clinical internship, and also passing the national SLP exam and earning licensing credentials. So this is an interesting occupation for my client to consider, as it pulls on some of the strengths that she has and also gives her the opportunity to work with people in a very personal way. The last occupation that I have here is a mental health counselor. So this includes the social, investigative, and artistic code once again. And some facts about mental health counselors is that they establish and maintain interpersonal relationships. So that fulfills the social aspect of my client's needs. It also encourages clients to express their feelings and develop insight into their issues, themselves, and their relationships. They assess for risk and obviously, upkeep proper documentation and records to substantiate their work. The median salary right now in New Jersey is about $59,000 a year. The projected growth is also very great. It's faster than average at 8%, but also requires a master's degree in a relevant counseling field, a clinical internship, and passing the NCE for licensure. So these are just 4 different occupations that I could present to my client. There are a lot more options, but for the sake of this profile, I just included a few that might stand out to her. Next are financial considerations. So one of the main things that I said in the beginning of this presentation is that my client's main priority is financial stability and security. She's not in a place where she can take huge risks at the moment. She needs to be very strategic about the decisions she makes, as her livelihood depends on it. And, I would want to present my client some financial resources to kind of curb and alleviate any anxiety that comes from the idea of going back to school and taking on more student debt on top of the student debt she already has. So we know the FAFSA, which is something that she could apply for, but there are other opportunities such as applying for a graduate assistantship. She can go on to different websites like FastWeb, GoGrad, Unigo, and Scholly, and other websites that provide scholarships and grants specifically for graduate students based on needs. So this is something that I feel like would be really important information to give my client as she may be considering an occupation that will call her to attain more training or more schooling. Finally, we have technology for career planning. So a wonderful website that I thought was very useful is the Department of Labor and Workforce Development for the state of New Jersey. So it's a career services website. And on this website, you can browse job openings in the state of New Jersey. They also have free online courses. There are about 5,000 plus free online training courses. And there are applications for personalized one-on-one support. So as my client is engaging in career planning, this is an amazing website that can be used to support her as she can take courses to build skills, to kind of see what opportunities are out there in her area, but also get more support outside of me as her counselor. There are also resume building apps such as Canva, CV Engineer, Resume Star, and Resume Builder. These are all, user-friendly resume building apps that can help her, show the robust amount of experiences that she has had and how they can make her marketable as a future employee to different um, places and occupations. And lastly, in the day and age that we're living in, social media networking is very real and very needed. In LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, and other websites, she can connect with other employers and even just see what opportunities are out there. But also, it is important to note that a lot of employers actually look at potential interviewees' social media accounts. So I would, speak to my client about making sure that she's marketing herself and presenting herself in the best way possible, and not to, shoot down a chance of getting a job because of something she might have posted or presented on her timeline. So I would suggest her making her profiles private and making sure that anything she posts, she stands behind and would be okay with an employer seeing if they were to check it out. And lastly, as I conclude, again, as I would be sharing this profile with my client and trying to help her, get an idea of what information she needs as she considers other occupations, I think it's very important for her to consider her context and the real barriers that she has before her that, run deep as an African American woman that's single and, living in an area that has its fair challenges. She does not have, the privilege of just relying on another family member or getting support elsewhere to pursue a different dream or a different job. So I think that is very important to consider as she makes decisions that are well informed and not impulsive. Assessments are just one tool that can be used to support career planning and development. These assessments are great to help her understand what her values are, what her interests are, and to connect those to other occupations and just give her some ideas of what options are out there for her. With this particular client, I believe she really values connecting with people, the arts, and also children as well, as she's had experience in that area. And as she considers different as she considers different occupations, she can, consider how can I get these different areas of my life in my work if that's what I find meaningful. And potential occupations that I presented here include elementary school teacher, except special needs, a musician and singer, which, pulls into the arts as she's always loved that area, a speech language pathologist, and a mental health counselor. And as she is working on figuring out what she'd like to do, applying for scholarships, grants, or student assistantship may alleviate some of those financial burdens of additional schooling and hopefully will not become a deterrent from, pursuing something that she might actually enjoy and love. And lastly, technology can be such a useful resource in career planning. There's so many different apps that help with resume building, that allow people to know what kind of jobs are out there. There are lots of skill building activities and courses that are online, and career services that are available for extra support. Here are the references for some of the sources that I've cited throughout this presentation. Thank you so much for listening.